I told my friend's boyfriend he can't have a traditional wife because he's not a traditional man. So last weekend, I was hanging out at my friend Maya's apartment with a bunch of people. It was supposed to be a chill night, just pizza, drinks, and catching up. Maya's boyfriend Jake had been drinking since we got there, and he was getting louder and more obnoxious by the hour. Everything was fine until somehow the conversation turned to dating and relationships. That's when Jake started going off about how modern women are the reason so many guys can't find wives anymore. He's sitting there with his third beer, pointing his finger around like he's giving some important lecture. He goes, "Women used to know their place. They took care of their husbands, kept the house clean, cooked dinner every night, and never complained about it. Now they all think they're too good for that stuff." I'm sitting there thinking, dude, you live in Maya's apartment because you can't afford your own place. But I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to start drama. Maya looked uncomfortable but wasn't saying anything. Then Jake kept going. "That's why I respect the older generation. Those women knew how to be wives. They understood that a man works hard all day and deserves to come home to a clean house and a hot meal. None of this 50-50 nonsense we have now." At this point, I'm getting annoyed because Maya works 50 hours a week as a nurse, while Jake works part-time at some electronics store. She pays most of their bills, does all the cleaning, and still comes home and cooks dinner most nights. But Jake wasn't done. He looks right at me and says, "You single girls just don't get it. You've been brainwashed into thinking you don't need a man. That's why you're all alone and miserable. Traditional marriage worked for thousands of years until feminism ruined everything." That's when I finally lost it. I put my drink down and looked him dead in the eye. "Jake, you can't demand a traditional wife when Maya goes 50-50 on all your bills and works twice as many hours as you do." The whole room went quiet. Everyone stopped talking and just stared at us. But I wasn't finished. "You want to talk about traditional marriage? Traditional husbands actually provided for their families. They didn't live off their girlfriends while working 20 hours a week at Best Buy." Jake's face turned bright red. He started stuttering something about how his job situation was temporary, but I cut him off. "Honestly, it sounds like you don't want a wife. You want another mommy to take care of you while you contribute nothing. That's not traditional. That's just pathetic." Complete silence. You could hear the TV in the background and someone's phone buzzing, but nobody said a word. Jake just sat there staring at me with his mouth hanging open. Finally, he goes, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. Your attitude proves my point about modern women." I laughed and said, "My attitude? Dude, I have my own apartment, my own car, and my own career. I don't need anyone to take care of me. That's the difference between us." The conversation moved on after that, but the damage was done. Everyone was acting weird for the rest of the night, and people started leaving pretty early. The next day, Maya texted me saying Jake was really upset about what I said and that I embarrassed him in front of everyone. She said he wanted me to apologize, but she didn't know if I was wrong or right. She also mentioned that he'd had a few drinks, and I should have just let him talk instead of calling him out. But I told her I wasn't apologizing for telling the truth. Jake still hasn't spoken to me, and Maya's been weird ever since.